We learned today that actress Diane Keaton has died in California. She was 79 years old. Keaton's family made the announcement but did not specify a cause.
I just want to bring you some sad breaking news now, and that is that the actress Diane Keaton has died at the age of 79.
They say Hollywood hides its darkest truths behind a smile. And Diane Keaton's last days may be proof. Before vanishing from public view, she recorded a private message that only her family has heard. Was it a confession, a warning, or Hollywood's final unsent love letter to one of its most singular icons? Here's how a beloved star became the center of a mystery. Sudden silence in Brentwood. At 79, Diane Keaton was found unresponsive at her Brentwood home on October 11. The Los Angeles Fire Department confirmed a 79-year-old woman was rushed to a nearby hospital. The cause of death remains unknown. There were no signs of trauma, no detailed official statement, and no explanation for what happened inside that house. People magazine broke the news of her death, and the story spread fast, but answers did not. What stood out was the quiet retreat that began weeks earlier. Keaton canceled appearances, dodged cameras, and quietly listed the dream home. She had once said she would never leave an architectural project she restored with near religious care. Friends said she seemed tired, distracted, and distant. Then came the family's brief statement asking for privacy. In Hollywood, that phrase is familiar. Here, it only sharpened suspicion. Rumors multiplied. Some said the house was sealed with limited access, even for close friends. Others muttered that the response timeline didn't add up, that discretion requests went out to media within hours. To some, that sounded standard. To others, it smelled like damage control. TMZ reported that the cause was unclear. Why the sudden push for silence? Was the family protecting her dignity or keeping certain details from surfacing? The last months already raised eyebrows. The house sale, the sudden withdrawals from projects, talk of putting things in order, and most hauntingly, that final recording said to have been made in her last days. No one outside her family has heard it. Natural causes, a hidden illness, or something the town prefers not to question too closely, any of it could be true. In a place that can turn tragedy into a cover story, Diane Keaton's death feels less like closure and more like a beginning. Secrets behind the smile. Before she was Hollywood's charming oddball, the woman who made awkward, cool, and hats iconic Keaton was waging a private war. As her career began in the late 1960s, she developed bulimia. While performing in Broadway's Hair in 1968, she was reportedly told she'd get the lead if she lost weight. The message stuck. In her memoir, Then Again, she admitted becoming an expert at hiding the disorder, building a life around secrecy, control, and perfectionism, the very qualities Hollywood often rewards. Years later, during a public celebration of her career, Woody Allen joked about her bulimia. The audience laughed, and Keaton laughed along. But many watching saw something uglier. The way a woman's trauma can become a punchline. Friends said the joke cut deeper than anyone realized. Keaton once described bulimia as a mental illness born from too much hunger, too much control, too much shame. Work became a way to keep the chaos at bay. So did collecting and remodeling homes, cataloging memories, curating every detail. Control, though, is fragile. As her health declined, some believe that same obsessive drive might have resurfaced in quieter, more damaging ways. Behind the wit and the nervous laugh, she carried heavy doubts and strict self-discipline. She told stories on screen that made vulnerability look effortless, but off-screen she guarded herself carefully. The smile was not vanity, it was survival, loyalty, and fallout. Keaton's bond with Woody Allen was creative, personal, and enduring. They met in the early 1970s, crafting a run of films, Play It Again, Sam, Sleeper, Love and Death, that captured their matched neuroses and screwball elegance. Annie Hall, written to fit her voice, her awkwardness, her hats, won her an Oscar and cemented the myth of Keaton as the thinking man's muse. It wasn't just a role, it was her. Their romance faded, but loyalty didn't. When accusations of child abuse engulfed Allen and Hollywood began to distance itself during the Me Too reckoning, Keaton publicly defended him, tweeting that she believed her friend and even sharing an old TV interview in which he denied the claims. Overnight, she went from feminist icon to, for many, the face of denial. Think pieces piled up. Fans called her out of touch, complicit, or blinded by allegiance. Others argued she knew him in ways the public didn't. The optics weren't kind. In 1993, amid Allen's custody scandal, Keaton replaced Mia Farrow in Manhattan Murder Mystery. To some, the casting looked like solidarity. To others, betrayal. Keaton didn't waver. She repeated, "I believe my friend," and moved on. According to insiders, her stance carried a cost. Certain calls stopped coming, and some opportunities quietly slipped away. Still, Allen honored her at the AFI Lifetime Achievement Tribute in 2017, calling her a profound inspiration. After Keaton's death, he was described as shocked and distraught and surprised. He reportedly hadn't known her health was failing, which raised another question. How could someone so close not see what was happening? Was she choosing solitude, or was something keeping them apart? The woman who risked her reputation for loyalty spent her final months in near isolation. That paradox is the most Keaton-like twist of all stubborn devotion. Meeting silence, final days, last message. Keaton understood loss. Her mother, Dorothy Hall, slipped away over 15 long years to Alzheimer's, a longest goodbye that Keaton revisited in her memoir through her mother's journals. Friends say the trauma never left. In later years, whispers gathered that Keaton herself might be facing memory issues, forgetfulness, canceled appearances, a retreat from the public. Nothing was confirmed, but the rumors made her last months feel even more fragile. The private recording many now discuss, cryptic, emotional, and reportedly made days before she died, only deepens the mystery. Was it farewell or confession? At the same time, old battles cast new shadows. Keaton was forthright about her eating disorder, once saying she consumed as much as 20,000 calories a day. During the worst of it, a cycle of compulsion and control that left scars. She called it a mental illness hidden behind a smile. For fans who watched her suddenly step back from the world, it's hard not to wonder whether past struggles and present decline intersected. Her career was a lesson in resilience after the box office failure of The Lemon Sisters. In 1990, shelved for more than a year, critics circled. Her directorial debut, Heaven, was dismissed by some as too self-conscious. Yet Keaton kept reinventing. Actor, director, mother, style icon. She made wide-brimmed hats and oversized suits into a personal revolution. When she adopted 2 children in her 50s, praise and cynicism split the headlines. She ignored both and built the life she wanted. But independence can shade into isolation. In March, Keaton shocked fans by listing her beloved Brentwood estate for $29 million, the home she had restored brick by brick over 8 years, and immortalized in her book, The House That Pinterest Built. "Something's right because I love it," she'd once said, and then she let it go. Neighbors who'd often seen her walking her dog said she vanished from the streets she loved. Her trademark hat and sunglasses were suddenly missing from the daily rhythms of the neighborhood. By 2025, fans noticed a broader withdrawal. Industry events went unattended. The playful Instagram posts slowed. Those close to her called her more private, more reflective. And then the final message, still unheard by the public, became the gravitational center of everything we don't know. One insider called it not a goodbye, but a confession. Was Keaton preparing the world for the truth or protecting someone from it? Her death at 79 in California, reported by People, left the cause a mystery and the family silent. That silence fuels speculation. The sealed house, the carefully managed statements, the whispered media request for discretion. Maybe it's simple dignity for a woman who lived on her own terms. Or maybe, as Hollywood often teaches, simple stories rarely hold. What remains is the legacy of a performer who refused to be anything but herself. From Annie Hall to Something's Gotta Give, she expanded the space for women to be funny, complicated, and unafraid of aging. She turned quirks into a language, made vulnerability look stylish, and carried grief like a private candle. She believed in her friends, right or wrong. She believed in work, even when it hurt. And she turned the details of a life, houses, journals, hats into a map of who she was. So what was Diane Keaton's final message? And why hasn't it been released? Was it a farewell, a warning, Or the truth at last about the costs of fame? In a town built on secrets, maybe the last thing she did was speak plainly. If Diane Keaton taught us anything, it's that even when the credits roll, the story doesn't end. It lingers in questions, in silences, and in the mystery of a smile that meant more than it ever let on. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Epoch Dive for more amazing documentaries.